Okay, if I can get everybody's attention, we're going to start here. Thanks for coming to JJ's presentation. We're excited to hear from you, JJ, and about your journey. I've had the privilege of having JJ in class, and also he served on my Santa Barbara missions trip and discovery. And just did an amazing job, your work ethic and your connection with the kids, and added so much to that trip. Probably my favorite memory from this year was when you came back from being sick and you fell asleep like right there, and we snuck the entire class out, and then we got a picture of you, and then it was Instagrammed. And rather than being embarrassed, I thought embarrassed him. He just came out and was like, "Thank you for letting me sleep." So that was kind of fun. Let me pray for you, and then we'll get going here. Lord, we're thankful for breath in our lungs and a beautiful day in Colorado, and thank you that we can celebrate JJ's life and his journey, just to give him the words to say and calm his nerves, and pray your name would be honored by our time here together. In Christ's name, amen. Welcome, JJ.
Oh yeah, first I'd like to introduce my guests here. This is my mom, Rebecca Jungjohann. This is our close family friend, Liesel Grossi, and my dad, Jim Jungjohann. So I was born February 17th, 1999 in New Jersey. As a kid, there were two things that defined me: being an awful child and moving around a lot. Before the age of 10, I had lived in New Jersey, Colorado, California, Ireland, and then back to Colorado. Moving around a lot was fun and interesting, but at the same time, it kind of sucked. As soon as I'd make good friends, we would move away. This in turn made me into a very outgoing child. And along with being outgoing, I was stubborn, violent, cruel, and I always wanted to have my way. This mixture of traits created some interesting stories. For instance, in kindergarten, I did not want to go to a ballet. So I decided to walk home. It was a school ballet. It was going to be a field trip. I walked out of the classroom while no one was paying attention and started on the trek home. It was probably around 4 miles. Eventually, by some miracle, a school administrator found me and picked me up in her car. She had some choice words for me along with my parents, and if I'm not mistaken, a police officer came by later that day. Another instance was when my brother and I became obsessed with burning plastic army men. It started when, for whatever reason, we decided to hold one over a candle. It was fun and exciting to see it melt away. So naturally, we continued this until all of our small army men, we had like some this big, our small army men went away, burnt, disfigured. But of course, this escalated, and we tried to do it with our bigger army men, which were somewhere around 6 inches to a foot. So along with bigger army men, we needed a bigger fire. We decided that toilet paper was flammable and that a sink would work great as a bonfire pit. All things said and done, the fire alarm went off and my brother and I were grounded for a month. All of this was in California. My family then moved to Ireland for a year. In the summer before we moved, we traveled around Europe in an RV. At the time, I was too young to appreciate it, but looking back, there are some great memories. For instance, going into an RV park's lounge area in Amsterdam, and seeing a guy rolling a joint. At the time, I didn't know, and when I asked my mom, she responded by saying that he was making a special cigarette. Ireland passed quickly, and before I knew it, we were back in Colorado. Back in Colorado, I went to 4th and 5th grade at Buffalo Ridge Elementary, and then went to Rocky Heights Middle School. At Rocky Heights, I found the group of friends that have been beside me since then. I met Will Culkin, Jason Lewis, Alex Smith, and Bailey Heller, given a few of them I met earlier on, but that is when we began to hang out. That aside, middle school is when I began to somewhat try in my studies. I will admit that I didn't put as much effort into school as my parents would have liked. That said, in 6th grade, I began. Oh God. That said, I began to do some work for understanding, not completion. Outside of school, I was flourishing on the soccer pitch. I played up a year on the highest level at the time. That said, kids were much bigger and stronger than me, and that led me to go down to my own age group, which was a bit of an ego hit to me. Shortly after I went down to my own age group, my knee started to hurt. After going to the doctors, I was diagnosed with an OCD lesion, which is basically a cyst in my kneecap. This took me out of soccer for about a year and almost made me forget all about soccer and quit. My parents, however, wouldn't hear it and convinced me to keep playing. Looking back, I couldn't thank them enough for this, as soccer has been the highlight of my past few years. Soccer aside, the rest of my middle school years passed with ease. That brings us up to high school. Freshman year of high school is decent. I came from a public school not knowing very many people aside from a few people on the soccer team like Buddy Nelson and Russell Riddell. And my buddies who came from Rocky Heights with me. Knowing that small group of people made me hang out pretty much exclusively with them. I have great memories of going behind Tony's Meat Market and playing soccer for hours after sundown under their parking lot lights with Buddy and Russell. Also, another thing I enjoyed doing with Russell is finding ways to sneak out of going to chapel. As a freshman, it was a lot different than now. Nowadays, I can simply walk to my car and drive off and no one cares. But back then, it was like trying to break out of a prison. There were teachers stationed all around the academic building watching to make sure no one slipped by. So we came up with some strategies. My favorite was telling the lady by the athletic building I was going to get a muscle milk, then waited for 15 minutes or so down in the locker room with some friends until the coast was clear to run off and eat Chick-fil-A. We came up with a ridiculous amount of escape plans in order to ditch. Now, I'm sure ditching chapel is frowned upon, but I have it to thank for meeting and becoming friends with a lot of people. This is how I met Nick, and through him, many others. After freshman year, I settled in and realized that high school was hard and I needed to try. So for the next 3 years, my grades began to rise as I learned how to study and function in a high school environment. Outside of high school, soccer was getting serious. I was nearing the age when it matters how you perform in order to achieve the next level and make it to a good soccer college. I trained hard and worked hard, and my team did the same alongside me. Our trainings paid off, and at the end of our U16 season, or during the summer of my junior year, our team made playoffs. We were the only team from Colorado who made it, and every team there was incredibly talented. That said, we got 2 wins and a tie in the group stage, which was enough to get us through. In the quarterfinals, we played FC Golden State and clinched another one. This sent us to California to play in the semifinals. Sadly, we lost to LA Galaxy, but in the consolation match, we won to rank us as 3rd in the nation. It was amazing, but off of that, our coach left to another team, and along with him, he took some players. To say the least, them leaving hurt. That said, around the same time as playoffs, I committed to the University of Denver to play for their team, Sco Pios. Now to senior year. Senior year has been great. Knowing where I'm going to college took a huge load off my back and allowed me to relax. That said, I may have relaxed a little bit too much, but senior year, right, guys? But during this year, I've gotten closer to many people and made many great friends. This is most likely due to the fact that I always went out and hung with people instead of staying at home watching TV and playing games. That aside, I actually attended Are you okay? Need a water real quick? Oh, yeah. That aside, I actually attended a few school dances, which were incredibly fun. I went to Homecoming at Canyon and Valor, which were both great, and just recently went to Valor's prom, which was also great, or at least until after prom. During spring break this year, Coach Schultz allowed me to go to Costa Rica with the high school soccer team. Costa Rica was amazing, not only in landscape, but in the lessons it taught me. We laid the foundation for 3 houses and built the walls for 2 of them. I have a newfound respect for construction laborers because that stuff is not easy. Also, I gained a clear insight to what most of the world lives like. I always knew that I was very fortunate with my life that my parents had gave me, but seeing the poverty in Costa Rica gave me a sense of just how thankful I should be. Along with the new perspectives, I met some great friends. Back row, love you all. Costa Rica was a great experience. Now for my thank yous to the staff at Valor. You have all been great, and I appreciate all the hard work many of you put into lessons, grading, and being there for your students. To my friends, I love you all, and you have always been there for me throughout high school. You are great, and I truly do appreciate every one of you. To the Grossies, Brian isn't here, but Brian's her husband. Looking back, ever since I came to Colorado, you guys have been right there. From when I played on Monty's team to even now, when you guys have Some of my fondest memories of us going up to the mountains with your family and seeing Bryant shred Blue Sky Basin while Liesel and my mom chatted the whole way down. Whenever I go over to your guys' house or come to ours, you have always had a smile on your face and been very uplifting. To my family, I love you all. Eric, I rarely ever let you know this. I do love him. We have fought ever since we were children and have just begun to understand each other. But these past few years, I have seen who you actually are. Behind your awful jokes, you are actually incredibly talented. And I know that if you put your mind to something, you can get it done. Even though you have gone through difficulties this past year, you are always strong and don't let it get to you. Mom and Dad, I have been so unimaginably privileged to have you as my parents. You handled me through my childhood, which I can only imagine how much willpower that took. You have allowed me to go through life, making my own decisions, and have always backed me up there for no matter what I decided to do. Dad, you worked and still work incredibly hard for our family. And I see this from waking up earlier than I could ever do of my own willpower to planning family outings to bring us all together. You are the ideal person that I would want to grow up to be. You hold to your own views, even if they're different from everyone else's. You don't give up halfway through projects and taught me that if you're going to do something, you better do it right. Anything I say wouldn't do you justice. I love you, Dad. Mom, ever since I was a kid, I have been a mama's boy. Whenever I cried, you would hold me, even if it was you that I was mad at, and you would stay with me until I finally calmed down. I can't imagine the burden that Eric and I have been on you, yet somehow you can still keep everything together. You are so incredibly put together. If I ever needed anything, you would always know where it was, or if I had a question, you could answer in a second. If I can find a woman half as good as you to marry, it would be a blessing. I love you, Mom. Thank you, guys.
So we can open up for some questions, comments, encouragement for JJ. A little time for that.
What was your favorite part of constructing the house?
Oof. That would have to be spreading the concrete down and smoothing it all out. The hard manual labor kind of sucked, but like when you actually got the concrete down, it's pretty cool to see it all smooth out.
We were grateful you were there for the hard manual labor.
Thank you.
What are you most looking forward to at DU, your first year?
Everything, but I'd have to say I'm rooming with my good friend Bailey Heller, so it's going to be a lot of fun being with him and playing with the whole soccer team. Because like I'm going with like 7 of my friends from club, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
What's after college?
Hopefully I'll find something that I love and pursue that. But right now I don't have too much of a plan. Maybe go into business and do something off of that. Yes, Alex?
If you had to pick a food to describe you.
I'll go with ice cream. Just because I like ice cream. There's not a better reason than that.
Ice cream's sweet.
I'm not sure if I'm sweet though.
Try them all.
Ellery? Oh. How many times has that been asked? Yeah, literally though. But oh God. There's been a few. I couldn't give you a specific one if I'm being honest.
Are you gonna pass?
No.
Oh, shout out to Hannah for the grades. Thank you. But Nick.
What's your favorite memory with Russell or of Russell?
You cannot say that in school here. Yes, Dad?
Are you gonna pass?
Most likely, yeah. I'm going to do fine on the AP test, and my grades are fine.
I think the other thing is, you didn't get to play high school soccer, but I think our whole family appreciates Coach Schultz.
Shout out.
You know, hang out.
And especially for letting me on the Costa Rica
Okay,
trip.
hang out.
All the summer practices, one-on-ones with Ross.
Part of our family.
Thank you.
Why'd you choose DU over a lot of the other schools? Because you had a lot of schools coming up.
When I talked to Jamie Franks, he had a vision of a family with like a purpose, and he didn't say it was easy. He didn't say it was going to be, you're going to come onto the team, you're going to make a huge impact. He said, I'm going to have to work hard and work my way up to be successful. And I liked how real he was with me. And I also can't deny the fact that I had like 7 teammates going there. So yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, JJ, good job. So we're gonna do the writing for you, like great blessing over you. I want you to come right here and get family. I want you to friends.
That was awesome.
You're praying, come on, pray for leading.
Someone grab a pair of scissors.
You guys grab a shoulder and then, whoever wants to pray, go ahead and open up and then in a few minutes, or whoever else wants to pray, and then Coach Schultz is going to close.
Dear Lord, we thank you so much for giving JJ to Jim and I and to our family. He's been a true light in our life, and we look forward to all the wonderful things he's going to do in the future, and we love him so much.
Dear Lord, my husband isn't here, I'm speaking for him as well, but we feel very fortunate to have met JJ when he was younger and been able to watch him grow into the fine young man he is. We're super excited to see where his future takes him. We know that whatever he does, he's gonna totally do it the best that anybody can. Congratulations.
Jared, as your loving father, was a lot of challenging moments over the early years, but I've been so proud of you and how you've grown and the man that you've become. I'm very proud of you.
Lord, I just give you great thanks for this beautiful combination that you've created, God, of strength and kindness and gentleness and just the right amount of sauciness to put me in my place. And God, you have given him great giftings. His loyalty is something that really stands out to me. And God, I know DU is going to be blessed by that. Lord, I guess my prayer here is as he steps out of Bowman and into this next stage of his life, that he would look to you as his creator and just really marvel at what you've done in his life, the family you put him in, the gifts that you gave him, this passion to do things well, Lord, that is just hardwired into him. God, I pray that he would acknowledge you all the days of his life as he goes forward. And Lord, protect him, keep him healthy, help him to bounce back from the hamstring injury. Jesus, we just give you praise for the work you've done in JJ and will continue to do so. Now, JJ, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. Give you his peace and rest, both now and forevermore. Amen. The prayer.
No,
That's the
He's in court. He's in court. You guys made it.
Yeah. Good to see you, brother. Family means a lot to me. Thanks.
How are you? Good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Good to see
said,
you.
when she said it's time for senior presentation, I'm like, I feel like I just want to go there. It's like,
I know.
What's so wasn't that?
Really nice.